The day of the crash is seared in Polish history, one of those occasions when every Pole remembers where they were. The Polish Air Force plane came down in Smolensk in Russia. It claimed not only the lives of all 96 passengers and crew on board, but a country's political and military elite. Amongst the dead, the Polish President Lech Kaczynski and his wife Maria. 8 years on, new questions are being asked about what caused the Tu-154 aircraft to come down. In his first television interview, a British air accident investigator has told Sky News he believes the original Polish and Russian findings of pilot error are wrong.
I think they did not do a thorough investigation. They probably, it seems to me that they'd come to that conclusion very, very early on. And then possibly sought evidence to justify it.
Russia released this audio, which it says capture the last few moments of the flight. Russian investigators say in dreadful weather conditions, the pilot, flying too low, hit a birch tree, searing the wing off. Frank Taylor was involved in the Lockerbie and Manchester air crash investigations. He's now examined high-resolution photographs taken by the Russians of the Smolensk crash.
If the tip had been cut off by a birch tree, the damage wouldn't have looked like this.
What would it have looked like?
Well, it would have been bent back, consistently backwards, rather than up, down, and maybe even forward.
Frank Taylor says he believes damage to the left side cabin door is consistent with what he calls massive internal pressure, leading him to this conclusion.
There is no doubt that there were explosions on board before the aircraft hit the ground.
Relatives have long complained that Russia failed to protect the crash site, pointing to unverifiable video such as this. Russia has refused to return any wreckage or the full flight data recordings. Political activist Anna Valentinovich was on the plane. In Poland, her son says he was threatened with jail for speaking out after the wrong body was returned to him, and that no relative can be sure they have actually buried their loved ones. Those on board were on their way to the 70th commemoration of the Katyn massacre of 22,000 Polish intellectuals, politicians and military officers by the Soviets in World War II. A member of the Federation of Katyn Families spoke to us on behalf of the Smolensk relatives, but wanted to remain anonymous over fears for his personal safety.
This is no longer a Polish problem. This has become a European problem and perhaps an international problem. There now needs to be a cohesive effort to deal with both the air accident investigation side and the human rights violations that have clearly occurred. There are some important questions to ask Russia. Most of the relatives are utterly traumatised. They've been waiting for 8 years to discover the truth.
What level of intimidation have they experienced over their quest to find the truth?
Some relatives have reported being threatened and abused by hooligans. I think it would be fair to describe it as they have lived in a climate of fear.
Russia says the crash has already been fully investigated. Friends and relatives of those who died say an EU resolution calling for an independent inquiry has been ignored. Even so, they won't give up on their belief that the full story of the Polish Air Force flight is still to be revealed. Lisa Holland, Sky News.